Today on the Riff, Jeremy and Leanne have a conversation with some longtime friends, Troy and Jana Jones. We hope today is helpful and hopeful. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to another episode of The Riff. I gotta tell you, I didn't even sleep well last night, Leanne. You probably,
I know.
Did you sense that?
Yeah.
You know why? Because we have some very special guests on The Riff. You know what it's like when you have a group of friends and you're inviting them to meet another group of friends and you hope they get along?
Yes.
That's what today's like. Because Riff Raff, the Riff Nation, we are introducing you to some legends in Johnson friendships. It is Troy and Jana Jones. Troy and Jana, welcome.
It is so good to be here. And Jeremy, Leanne, so good to see how long we've known each other. I bet.
Not long enough, but
For
probably
sure.
30 years.
Oh, more
30?
than that. More than
Well,
that.
because
Well,
we've been married.
Well, Jeremy, come on.
okay.
I knew when you were in Bible quiz.
Okay, so
yeah.
Jana is my cousin, and so if we have this natural banter, it's because we grew up like this. Jana, you are the pride of Kingston, Idaho. Am I saying that? Am I remembering that correctly?
Absolutely.
Like-
you bet.
400 people.
Well, maybe 6.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And so Bible quiz was this deal. It was actually a setup just like this table, and we would have buzzers. And
Yep.
Well, you were pretty good.
Well, I was so good that there was a time we got third place at regionals, right?
Oh.
And the first two went to nationals. Renton was one of the two that went to nationals. Troy
Yes.
Jones, this hotshot youth pastor at this big church on the coast, comes up to my parents and says, if you send Jeremy to live with me his sophomore year of high school, I will make him a top 10 quizzer in the nation.
And they said,
They're like, I don't.
And Jeremy, I could have done it, bro. I mean,
It would have changed the trajectory of my life.
it would have. Now, you guys know that's how we met Bible quiz. Do you have that?
Tell us a little. Tell us a little.
We met. Yes. I was a sophomore at Northwest University. She was, let's see,
Junior.
a junior.
Junior in high school.
Anyways, our teams were competing against each other. I was the coach and she was the quizzer. Okay.
Okay. This sounds
killing.
scandalous.
It's a little bit. We were quizzing against them and we were killing them. As you know, our Bible quiz team was the best.
Renton, yeah.
Yeah, third place in regional. That doesn't even sound good.
No.
Anyway, so she buzzes in, chair 2, and gets it right. I stand up and contest her answer, and so I can stand up and contest.
Mind you, they were killing us. So
Yeah.
when he stood up, he like, you guys, you're so arrogant. Just sit down. And
I was
just,
boom, 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 boom.
He had that
didn't-
dog in him.
I mean, and they agreed with me and reversed the answer, gave it to her
We
wrong.
didn't like him.
Oh.
And so that we did
Green
not-
2 is giving you the glare.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And so it was. I was watching them in a final match quiz. As I was watching them, I turned to my college buddy Roger Archer. I said, "She's very. I want to get to know her." And he said, "That's my sister. You be careful." So I was sitting
not
by her
know
brother. And so for the next 20 questions, he just looked at me. He said, "You two were made for each other." He said, "I cannot believe it. You, Jana, get married." I mean, so he married us in just a few minutes right there.
And now you just celebrated, yesterday, you celebrated how many years?
36 years.
36.
Wow.
Oh, my
Yeah.
word.
I know.
that's amazing.
It feels older because 40 is coming right around the corner.
Well, okay, so here's a little more of our backstory, and we're going to end up talking some marriage here. So Troy and Jana, God's used them so much in our lives. And so it was in high school when I got to know you a little bit from a distance. And so this legend of this youth pastor out there, Jana being from Idaho. And I felt like I always tease about the cousins, but that was like a big deal to me because I'm like, I'm kind of connected to them, right? And
She married your...
no,
her
she did. She
cousin
married Troy. You married
No,
Troy, correct?
Her
Yes.
cousin married your uncle.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, so I feel like you're trying to diminish this.
No,
you
I'm
just
just
you're
trying-
kind of taking a crack at it, but
Okay.
we're so tight. We're cuz.
I
That's
know
my
that.
cuz right there. So then when we go to college at Northwest, the first year I did probably what a lot of Northwest students do or Bible college students. I just went to a lot of churches for like a couple of times and then end up going to the closest one. But then my second year, I'm thinking I want to go and start learning. And the best place to learn in youth ministry was Renton Assembly at the time, right? And it was, you guys were youth pastoring. And so we went and interned there.
Well, I think
Actually, Leanne was our very first female intern.
you better believe it.
And then you hired Leanne.
Credit here.
You hired Leanne part-time with your school leadership.
Yes, I was the Berean something.
Yeah. And so Leanne was hired by a church long before one sniffed at me. And but we interned there for, 2.5 years or so and learned so much about youth ministry. But in the process, I appreciated it then. And we look back and we were so thankful. But now we're like, how in the world did you have time? And it's not because you had time, but you chose to invest in us so much. And it shaped us. So when we got engaged.
Truly, shaped us in ministry. So many things we do and have done in
to
ministry to this day.
Yeah.
And then relationally,
Yeah.
in our marriage, you guys modeled such an incredible way to do marriage that it's impacted us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Still.
Well, I really never saw myself, because people will say, when were you called to ministry or whatever? And I think about it, it wasn't like a moment or a service. It was a season where for the first time watching what the two of you were leading in Renton made me feel like, now that's something that would be worth giving my life to, is doing it that way. Mm-hmm. And so it started this journey. Well, when we got engaged, we asked you all to naturally to do our pre-marriage counseling, and it was just really cool. I'll never forget just being in your living room, and you guys would walk us through all the important things of marriage. And it's probably not your teaching as much as my memory. The only thing that really stood out to me was you did this powerful talk on sex that I just have tried to apply to this day in my life. So well done. So not only are you experts, you're sexperts, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Jeremy. You're welcome.
But I know, and I know that even then, for the next several years, you guys would be asked, and then you would lead towards teaching occasionally on marriage. And that's what kind of brings to this episode today is God's really opened up a season in your life to invest in marriages. And you just wrote or released a book. Do you have the book with you? Show us that book, The Mosaic Marriage.
How two imperfect people become one masterpiece.
Oh my word. That is awesome. Now, okay.
Think about the two of you though, guys.
Yeah.
Both imperfect, both broken. We're broken.
Yeah.
But it's the beauty of that, the essence of it is that beauty of the brokenness that when you bring together and you really allow the marriage to come together, God creates a beautiful mosaic masterpiece. So yeah, it's awesome. It's even watch your guys' story. Yeah. 28 years later.
Yeah.
It's stunning to see what God does when two people come together and they're able to just humble themselves, defer to each other, follow what I would consider very strong biblical principles. It becomes this beautiful masterpiece.
Well, I want to dive into it, the book, but one thing I want to make sure everyone who's listening understands is tomorrow it is released. Tomorrow is the release day, June 3rd.
Tomorrow is the release day.
Okay, so we're going to
36-year dream in the making. It happens tomorrow.
Wow.
We're going to put all the links on the show notes, but if someone's just listening and they're on the drive-in right now, they can go to Amazon right now and they just search. What do they search?
Yeah, the Mosaic Marriage, or Troy and Jana Jones, but the Mosaic Marriage, and they can find it.
That's awesome. Well,
I'm excited to read it because really what you guys invested into us 28, 30 years ago, the things that you taught us, the principles, were so valuable. It helped us get from that pre-marriage to now 28 years in, truly the guidelines and principles that we were taught were so foreign to most people of keeping your marriage, sacred, and the things that you do, because we're all going to have a bad day here and there. So that the boundaries and guidelines that you set up, you're not. It's not going to take a bad day to destroy you, because you've set so much. So really, like what you did for us, we lived off of. This was still.
So I'm going to dive in and just ask the two of you some questions about the book. Now, I've not read the book, and I said, hey, this is the Riff. Now, the Riff, we're not allowed to prep because we just riff. But
No prep at all.
I'm going to tell you what I guess. I guess this is the story of Moses' marriage. Is that what this book is? The Mosaic Marriage? No. Okay.
Although in Exodus 18, he seemed to have a problem there, but it's not the premise of the book.
That's right. His father-in-law has to get involved.
He did. I mean, if you look at it closely in Exodus 18, it looks like Moses had a problem.
Yeah.
And his father-in-law had to correct him, but it's another issue.
Everybody's going to be like Exodus 18.
Well,
What's Exodus 18?
it's interesting you say that, because when I was a young youth pastor, there was someone wrote a book on Exodus 18.
Yes.
And it shaped my life.
Yes.
It was you. But this one is
Yes.
This is Mosaic Marriage. Okay, so one, Jana, I got to ask you this. What's it like to just write a book with Troy? I mean, like when you guys decide it's a great idea, how does that work?
It was amazing, actually.
Okay.
We rented a 40-foot RV last summer. And we drove across the...
Because you're RVers? No.
No, we're not.
No, this is a true story.
Never done it before. It's like as big as a Greyhound bus.
Yeah, it's
Let's
huge.
Start there. So we're driving down the road, and he's like, I really want to write another book about such and such, and maybe marriage. And I'm like, oh yeah. So all last summer for 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months.
We dove into this, and conversation after conversation about marriage, the things that we've learned along the way. Something really cool in the book is Troy's very methodical with how he does his whole life. Everything has a pattern, but in the process,
Is that a fancy word for quirky?
yeah, he's very
Jeremy,
quirky. I would say OCD quirky.
it's
Okay,
beyond
OCD quirky. Very, very quirky. So in the process of all that, I have a thing in the book called JJ, Just Jana, and I will insert some common sense, Idaho, down to earth. Stop being arrogant, knock it off, let's go. And so throughout the book, it's him writing, and then I'll just kind of insert something fun or a nugget of truth along the way to kind of so it's a different kind of book of marriage. It's not your typical money, sex, and communication. It is a more broader picture of you need to be healthy as a person and take responsibility for your own health. And as that happens, when two imperfect people come together and take responsibility for that, God then does what we cannot do.
That's great.
Okay,
That's
so
awesome.
I'll ask.
Let me just say this. The JJ part, that's why people want the book. I mean, honestly, what people are going to do, they're going to go through the book, read all the JJs, put it down and go, it was worth the read.
That is what I was planning on doing right when she said that. I was
Yeah,
like,
she
I'm
takes-
just going to the JJs.
A part of it is you'll see in the book how we take, we have some humor and we take not shots at each other, but we're able to laugh together and make fun a little bit. That's not the right language.
Laugh together.
Yeah, laugh together. And you see it throughout the book. We're able to just do that. And I think it's part of the magic of a mosaic is that ability to not take yourself so serious and actually just enjoy your partner, which is the premise of the book, instead of trying to change your partner, just to enjoy who they are.
Okay, so listening today, we have so many people who some are in a marriage that they're super excited about and they're in a good season. Some are feeling such a distance from the person that they sleep the closest to. Others might be just raw out of a relationship that did not go well. And some might have just parked that category altogether. Is this book for a specific type of person, a type of relationship, or how could this book be utilized?
Yeah, first of all, if you're engaged or even want to be married or like 10 years into it, those are the type of people I think could get the best from it because if I could summarize the book in terms of what we do for marriage, is we're going to provide you hope that you can have a stunning masterpiece.
Wow.
That your marriage does not have to be just average. It can be a one-of-a-kind, durable masterpiece. And so it's for anybody. It's anybody that, if you're married a little bit like 10, 15, 20, 30 years, it's a great refresher or a great correction of sorts to really have a new paradigm of how your marriage could look. So,
Wow.
by the way, in single people, we're selling some of these beforehand, pre-releases. A lot of single people are enjoying it, engaged people. It's just good to get your mind wrapped around a different paradigm of marriage.
Now, I would imagine this is something that would spark a ton of conversations, whether as a couple or couples coming together. Is that something that the book naturally leads into? Is that kind of discussion?
Absolutely. At the end of each chapter, we have couples chats. So we have had questions written out. We've also just released or pre-filmed small group curriculum for it. So a bunch of you could get together in a group, play the video, and ask all kinds of questions. And so you can do it at dinner, you can do it in a group, but we just want to get the conversation of healthy marriage on the table. And there's a lot of misnomers that people in the church have healthy marriages, which isn't necessarily true just because you go to church. It's work and it's worth the work. And again, I go back to when you choose to be healthy, when you choose to look at your spouse and not change them and laugh at the quirkiness and bring out all of the things in each other and celebrate that versus try to change them and talk down to it. Anything is possible, no matter what condition your marriage is in. We believe for miracles.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
That's good.
Now we're going
To answer your question, we don't really want to write a book. All of the books that we want to create, this sounds crazy because it's big and audacious about a movement across the world that marriage can be awesome. That you don't have to just settle for being married, but you can actually, the two of you that are imperfect have your own stories, uniqueness. When you blend the colors of your marriage, you create your own color palette. This is what's so powerful about it. Your own color palette, one of a kind. That's why I like the word mosaic. Every mosaic's different, and it's beautiful and it's stunning. But it's all the weirdness, the brokenness, the quirkiness, all of that. Like the two of you, you guys have your unique stories, but you bring it together. And now when you blend the color palette, we talk about three primary colors in marriage: red, yellow, blue. You blend those colors together. Now you create orange. Now you create purple. Now you create millions of other colors that become you.
Wow.
That's so good.
Now,
That's great.
I want to ask some specific questions about different things in the book that might be your favorites and topics. But some people might be thinking, well, it might be easier for someone to write a book on marriage because they had such an awesome model of marriage growing up, but that's not my story, so I'm doomed. Is your stories one where you're like, all I had to do is just write down what I saw growing up, or is it something that you had to be intentional to build in your own?
No, I had no idea how to be married when I got married, period. I come from a broken home. I had to break generational patterns over my life. My mom was married 5 times. My oldest brother was just released from prison. My second brother died of drugs. And I got saved, 13, from a church at Bridgehead Assembly that paid my way to Bible camp. I got radically saved. But I didn't realize something. So I was saved. I loved Jesus and I loved leadership. But it took me, Jeremy, 7 years to realize I didn't understand a thing about marriage.
Wow.
Not a thing. And it was a wake-up call for us. We call it in the book, we call it our 7-year bump, where one day she's
Had a meltdown.
And I said, Jana, look, everything I provided for you. Everything's awesome. And she had a meltdown. Nervous breakdown?
Yeah, you could call it that.
And so literally, Jeremy, I decided either I'm going to figure this out or it's not going to be, now the language I use, a masterpiece. Mosaic. And so it took me from year 7 to year 10 to read every book I could read, talk to every couple, really find out what does it mean to be, in this case, a phenomenal husband that doesn't want to change my wife, but the language in the book is that wants to become wildly curious about her. Yeah. I just want to be curious. And instead of trying to make her like me, we talk about this in the book, I want us to be us, not me.
Yeah.
The two should become one. And I had to get through that. It's not that I was an idiot. I just didn't know what one meant. It was part of my problem is because I'm a preacher and I think I have answers for everybody. I also thought I had answers for her.
He wanted me to be John Maxwell. Yeah. So got all the teachings every day how to be a leader and be John Maxwell. So, you know, that works so well.
I love hearing that. I love hearing that because in marriage, it's such a journey, right? And so I love that you hit a bump and you worked through it and it didn't happen right away. It was, well, one, it's a process even today, right? It's always a journey through.
Yep.
But that you worked through something that Jana was able to work with that with you. It's not like no one's a professional at marriage, you know, when they're young married. So I love that you had patience for that. You had the yearning to grow and that the commitment was big enough to last through that.
Yeah. Yeah. And what really was birthed in my heart there is wanting to grow, but to become curious instead of trying to change Jana or her change me. It was really to become curious, to become wildly curious about what's going on there, her story. Why did she respond like that? And really truly want to learn that. And so we talk about how you have to listen. So I talk like to men, if in doubt, this is for everyone, but for men, if in doubt, don't try to give an answer, but try to listen and learn, lean in. I tell men, just shut your mouth and just listen, give your undivided attention. And then we talk about after that, then a word we use is lionize your spouse. The word lionize is treat your spouse with unusual values, importance. So if someone if Tom Cruise walked in our office right now, we would stop this podcast and lionize them, right?
So would Leanne.
Yes, she would.
It's like, hey, Goose.
But I don't think we lionize each other, right? We take each other for granted. And I go, even the quirkiness. I got to go, I want to lionize it. So that's the secret of a mosaic.
One of the things we really kind of talk about in the book is this being wildly curious about your spouse, where some of us have an elementary education in studying your spouse, and then you get married and then you stop being curious. And so the goal is to have a PhD in how this guy operates. And so constantly studying his patterns, what fills his tank, what drains his tank, what makes him come alive, what doesn't. And I'm constantly learning and studying. And when you stop being wildly curious about your spouse, things begin to plateau. But you can change that just by your own doing. If both of you will why did they respond that way? And ask questions versus being accusatory of their behavior, but ask the why question, you can go a lot farther.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So good. I'm going to hit this thing.
Yeah.
Leanne's going, Jeremy, listen up. Listen up, Jeremy.
Yeah, we're ordering that link. We're ordering that link.
Get in the book.
Now, tell us your favorite chapter, the chapter that you're most excited about. If someone's going to read just the one chapter, which one do you hope they read?
I like chapter 2, which I just talked about, just being wildly curious. Just that one principle it makes you come alive. It puts some onus on you to do the work instead of blaming. It puts responsibility on me. And being wildly curious will open up all kinds of conversations and connection when you actually are curious for the sake of learning.
Yeah. Well, Jana, I was thinking the opposite of that while you were talking, like what it feels like. And we probably all know what it feels like to be aware or feel that the person closest to us isn't curious. There's a season where we feel that and we feel so alone and unseen. And that's why probably affairs happen is because you're vulnerable and then someone's curious about you.
Yeah, it's true.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's a powerful. I love that. I'm going to read, I'm kind of sequential, but I might read chapter 2 first. So Troy, do you have a favorite? Yeah.
Now in that chapter, just to kind of strengthen a little bit, we talk about what to become curious about. That in a marriage, we all have 3 primary colors. We have red, yellow, blue. Red is for sexual intimacy and connection.
I might go to that chapter. What chapter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yellow is communication, how you communicate, how do you do that? And then blue is your emotions. And the premise of the book is both of us have red, both of us have yellow, and both of us have blue. So sometimes it's like men don't have emotions. Not true.
Right.
It's not true. You have blue. It's just a different shade of blue for different reasons. And so powerful when you can really understand that we both have red. So the red has different seasons. And if my red is not hot, her red's not hot, there's a reason going on. And so you want to become curious. What's going on? How do I communicate better with you? And so we do it. We challenge couples to do a napkin challenge, the napkin challenge. So if you're out to like coffee or on a date, just write down on a napkin, red, yellow, blue, and give yourself a score. 1 being bad, 5 being really good. Where are you at in your relationship right now?
So sexual intimacy, it's emotion, communication.
Yep.
And then emotions. Okay.
So right now, ask that. I mean, we can do it now, and
we're doing that. We're going to do that on our
right
date.
now.
We're going to do that on our date.
So we do it actually live in seminars or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's always interesting for us. And honestly, most of the time, I think I give our sex a little bit lower. She gives it a little higher. We have to talk about that, right? Or we talk about our communication, where we're at, our blue. But it's so big. It's just all those things are so big. I'll just say one thing on the blue emotions. Sometimes there's a phrase out there, happy wife, happy life. And I take a shot at that. First of all, that's treating my wife like a basket case. It's assuming that she's not. And it's assuming men don't have emotions.
Yeah.
It's assuming men don't have blue. So anyways, becoming curious about those three things. And then you blend those colors and you create some purple, you create some orange, you create some beautiful color palette that becomes awesome.
You know, what's interesting is it's not enough. I love it's talking about the intentional time. It's not just time. It's not just going and grabbing the coffee. It's having something to talk about and grow while you do that. I think that's a practical tool. Everybody who's listening could just apply that. I love that.
I love the analogy of it. I love the analogy, and even what you said earlier about everybody has their own color palette, has those colors on it, but you create your own color palette per couple. I love that analogy.
One of a kind. You two have a one of a kind marriage.
Yeah.
There's no other like it. I mean, and so it's beautiful. We do. So we accept our quirks. We accept our awkwardness. We accept our strengths. We accept
them, but we also take responsibility when we contribute something that maybe isn't so positive to own that, to say, wow, I really need to work on that area.
Yeah.
Again, I come back to personal ownership. If two people will come to the table and own my own quirks and work on the things I need to work on, it is a masterpiece that like none other. Nobody else has it.
Wow. Troy, do you have a different chapter? Favorite chapter?
Well, no, but I'm going to just call it out chapter 5. It's called Polish Your Marriage, Make Love. Okay, polish your marriage. Okay. And so just real quickly.
Go on.
I'm going.
We all obviously lean into the mosaic metaphor. So when you create a mosaic, like if you put tiles up, first you have to clean the surface for those tiles to go up. Then you have to put the pieces in place. So it's a metaphor all the way through. You have to fill in the gap, by the way. It's just step by step. But the last thing you do when a mosaic's done is you have to polish it. You have to give it a sheen. Beautiful. And what sex does is makes marriage beautiful. It's the beauty, it's the polish, it's the sheen. I love how Tim Keller, I love this, he defines making love. He says, every time you make love, you are renewing your covenant vow. This is so powerful. You're renewing your covenant vow with your spouse. So you're making love by saying, I completely, 100% exclusively belong to you. Wow. That's what you put the polish on it. And so I think a lot of people, sometimes in the Christian world, they kind of minimize sex. And it's polished, it's beautiful. And so we talked through that, and like we did with you guys 30 years ago.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, again, Mosaic Marriage, anywhere books are sold, but today's the day. I mean, it's a big deal. It's released tomorrow.
Today is the day.
As we're dropping it off, this link, so June 3rd, it's released everywhere. It's a big deal because I think it's also a big deal that it shows up. it makes a difference, because as people are online, I've done this before where I want to grow in an area and I just search Amazon. How powerful is it that that link is going to find its way to the right person at the right time? Wow. So Mosaic Marriage. Now here's the, do you have another book you guys are already thinking about working on? And are you open for suggestions?
Totally open to suggestions.
Parenting.
Yeah. So if we did that, it would be called the Mosaic Home. We would just keep going. Or
so
the
you
Mosaic,
have thought about this.
Yeah, we have.
You guys are such good parents.
Yeah.
And I know that we don't measure parents' ability based on the product of the kid, though you could in your situation. But just watching from the behind the scenes, the environment you create for family, this shaped our family so much, watching how you create a culture in your family. So we're committed to reading anything you guys write.
And what I love about this conversation is we're able to speak from, we've known you for a really long time. I changed Chelsea's diapers. So Their kid, yeah, when she was 2. And so we can say this with 100% authenticity of, you're the real deal.
Yeah.
So what you write is true from the heart, from experience, and it's going to be good stuff. I'm super excited to read your book.
Now, there are people listening, and maybe you have a business that you're leading, maybe some type of ministry, and you're really looking to add value to your team, to those that you're serving. I think, and I know that you're busy and you also have jobs, of significant impact there in the Northwest. But I would refer them to your website to be able to say, hey, is there an opportunity to have a speaking engagement or some type of resource directly? Where do we send someone who says, man, I need to invest in my tribe in a unique way? Is there a site we send them to?
Yeah, drtroyjones.com.
Yeah, drtroyjones.com. So
there it is.
Also, did we mention on this? I know we mentioned it at some point, but I think it might have been before. But you had said about your book that you have discussion questions.
Yeah.
We mentioned that already on this.
Yeah, and that'd be powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody could apply that.
But to be specific, so small group curriculum, it's like a 15-minute video. You could watch it, do the small group thing. And the back of every chapter is couples chat for married and engaged, by the way. And so you can, the small group curriculum will be up, tomorrow. That's the goal. That's the goal. Somewhere maybe
that's
mid.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and it's very good. It's just great stuff, just getting couples to talk about their marriage and discuss it. So all that will be available there. Also, speaking, we want to do marriage Sundays, marriage conference, marriage one nights, anything like that we can get out and hang out with married couples.
I love it. For putting my pastor hat on for those listening, is the summer's a great opportunity to have a really fun relational group. And so get the book, read the book, and then invite some couples in your world, and great backyard fire discussions or dessert nights, those kind of things. So and
it's easy. It's easy. And by the way, for couples, I want you to do it in a group. If you do it by yourself, it even works. And you need to find the right time to talk. For us, the best time for us to talk is when we're driving. And so we accept that in each other. Does that make sense when it comes to like questions like this? It doesn't have to be like eyeball to eyeball, intimate all the time. It could just be finding those right environments to have some of these good conversations.
That's awesome. Well, I know that, as this is being released, you have so many different outlets that people are inviting you to speak on. Thanks for being on the Riff. I really appreciate that. We love the two of you. You have shaped our lives in so many ways. And so it's so fun to be able to see that God continues to use you. And I know that there's so many that have been impacted. So thank you. We love you guys.
We
hugs,
absolutely.
virtual hugs.
Come on. Can we do that first? I love you guys. Love you.
Love you too. Okay, so Mosaic Marriage, wherever books are sold, let's go get it. And we'll continue these kind of conversations later. Troy and Jana, thanks for being our guest. drjones.com, Dr. Troy Jones. drtroyjones.com as well. And thanks for being on The Riff. And we'll catch you all next week on another episode of The Riff. I don't know. Did that sound all right?
Yeah.
The Riff. All right. See ya.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Riff. We'll have a brand new episode every week, wherever you find podcasts.